tell you, Hannah. No, it does, because there's absolutely nothing better for me on the podcast than you watching that. Because what people don't know is that you're seeing the video, I'm seeing the little squares down here, and I can see Hannah just head in hands like this every time, and she gets lower and lower.
I forget how bad it is. Like, I know it's bad, but I forget how bad.
It's brilliant.
I've gone like, look at my body language. I've gone all like.
Listen, we don't need to talk about body language, Hannah. Don't worry about it, because we're here. How are you doing anyway? We haven't done one of these properly for a long time.
Thanks. As I was saying before, I am absolutely obsessed with the EFL sticker book shenanigans, to the extent that the other day, I've started drinking again, as you know, but like generally people won't know. And it all got a bit out of control, and there were like sticker packets everywhere, and I woke up to the like shame of having to throw like all the sticker like back. It was bad.
Like a walk of shame, but to the bin with backs of stickers.
Yeah, they're everywhere. I like it,
and that's why I don't do it.
Stuck to the dog, everything. It was great.
Oh, good old Madden. Well, I've moved house, and I'm in my new little room. It's not finished yet, Hannah, but I've got a couch.
Oh yeah.
It's like casting couch, but it's not
I've
leather.
got a couch.
Oh, yours is like casting couch. But Hannah, we haven't done one of these for a while, so we're doing an interview, right? Okay, I'm really excited for this one, because if anyone knows me, there's one thing that I love to do on social media, and the term is boil piss.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's not. I'm not being big-headed here, but I don't think there's many people out there better than me at boiling piss on social media.
In the lower league football space.
Oh, in the lower league football space, yeah, I am all over it. But this person might actually rival me, especially last season, because he boiled my piss. I will tell. I was I like him already. I can't believe, right? If you'd have told me a year ago that I'd have been sat doing an interview with this person, I'd have thought something had gone wrong, because I was angry every weekend. I used to hate coming on social media because I'd see his tweets, and then I'd have to, and it would just dare. So should we bring him in? And I could have actually done a different intro video, because I've got a little special video for him. Let's do this. So, Hannah, why did you smile all the way through that one?
Because I was thinking there was some like quite cute signing photos, but also they're like, oh, this is quite nice. We could have led with this.
We could have done. For anyone who's listening, who's not watching and didn't see that beautiful video, we are joined by current Walsall player, Mr. Jamie Jellis. How are you, sir?
No, I'm very good. Yeah, can't ask for much more. Off the back of
did you like that little intro there?
I did like that one. I liked both of them actually. So
no, please.
I did like the first one. Don't worry, I'll side with you on that one.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It does grind on you a little bit.
After probably a few.
Yeah. But Hannah not liking it outweighs the grinding. So yeah, you just mentioned there back to it last night. You've had a bit of an injury this last few weeks, haven't you? You were back out there last night in the trophy. How did that go?
Yeah, like you said, it's been a sort of tough start to the season for me. Few injuries and stuff like that. But hopefully yesterday was the start of me getting back to full fitness and playing loads and loads of games again.
And a good start. You won, right?
Yes, come on at half time, and we ended up winning the game 2-1 against one of my old sides, actually, Stevenage. So yeah, that was a very good result to sort of go back there and get the win.
Yeah, we normally do really well at Stevenage. We didn't win there this season. So I'm glad someone did, because like I said, I don't think they've lost at home this season. It's first time to lose. So
yeah, another step closer to Wembley. Hopefully on
the next round.
I'm not too sure. I think it's some point this week. But
are you still in it, Hannah?
I mean, for about the next couple of hours, yes.
Oh, we went out last night, Matt. We went right out last. We didn't even turn up. We just got smashed 3.
More out than Salford, because Salford went very out.
Salford went very out with a set. Was it 7-2?
7-2, and they were 2-0 or 2-1 up at one point, 3-2 down at half time.
We just went 3-0, 2-0 down inside 15 minutes, and then just didn't turn up and come back. But that's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with it because we're having an all right league season. But we'll get to that because there's a crossover, isn't there, Jamie, between your last 12 months and my last 12 months.
I don't know what you're on about.
We need to talk about it at some stage. I mentioned the piss boiling, and that is what it involves. But I love it at the same time. Like when you're in it, you really, really like you don't like it. You hate to see it when it's your club on the other end of it. But like from the outside looking in, I respect it. But let's go right back to the very beginning, because you've got a really different story, haven't you, to pretty much anyone, really. I mean, there's players that come from non-league into the EFL, but we rarely see a player come from non-league into the EFL. Then a global pandemic hits. We see that player go back out of the EFL, get a normal job, and then come back into the EFL again. All right, I'm going to be honest. I might have names wrong, but I've done notes. And Hannah, you jump in when you get to your part. So am I right in saying you started at Aylesbury?
So yeah, I left school. Well, I was at Leicester. Didn't get my scholarship at Leicester, so I went trialing at a few clubs. Shrewsbury. Where else did I go? I went to TNS for a game in Wales. So yeah, that's something that a lot of people don't really know. I went over there for a game. Where else did I go on trial? I went to Wolverhampton. I went to Wolves for a month. So I went trialing there. And while I was sort of in and amongst the trials, I was at Aylesbury United. I signed as a 16-year-old to my hometown club. So yeah, I think I ended up playing a handful of games before I ended up signing my scholarship for Stevenage, which was November of 2017, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Either you're right or we're both wrong. You're right or we're both wrong.
So yeah, I think I played a handful of games as a 16-year-old for my hometown club, which was, again, growing up, I remember being a mascot, I'm pretty sure, for my 7th birthday and walking out with the players. So it was like, I know my dad played for like the reserves and stuff like that. So it was always sort of like in my family playing for like and around the club. So it was like a proud moment for me as a 16-year-old playing for my hometown club. So yeah.
People don't realise that, do they? They don't realise, like, especially like when you find fans of clubs in the Premier League, they don't appreciate the local clubs, the clubs that you've grown up around. Like, I love it. That's why we started doing this, and that's, I work at Bradford Park Avenue on a voluntary basis just because you want to get involved with different clubs. You didn't just play for your hometown club. Did you score your first goal there as well?
I scored on my debut. So I remember playing the pre-season games. I scored a couple, and then I scored on my debut for the club. I can't remember who it was against. Barton Rovers, maybe.
You could be right. I don't have that info.
I'm pretty sure I scored on my first 2 appearances for the club, which was, again, massive for me. It was Bedford Town. I remember it. Left foot, and the keeper spilled it into the net for me. So I give him an extra 20 quid at the end of the game.
An assist. How is that then, as sort of a 16-year-old lad who's coming out of an academy status? How's that going into essentially full men's football? What was that like physically?
Physically, it's never really been an issue for me. I think as a 16-year-old, I'd faced sort of injuries and rejections. So for me, it was more about, okay, I need to know that the men's football is a completely different game to what I've been used to. It's completely different to academy football. So the experience of playing as a 16-year-old then, even playing for going training with like my dad's Saturday league team as 14, 15-year-old, getting used to the physicality with men's football really set me up for going into Aylesbury United at 16, 17 years old. So I knew it was going to be tough on me mentally off the back of getting released from a few clubs, but I knew I needed that challenge to step up into the men's game.
And did you dealing with that, like being resilient and having to kind of bounce back from disappointments, do you get to a point where you're like, maybe this isn't for me, or is it just a case of, no, this is what I'm going to do, I'm good enough to do it, I believe in myself?
There's definitely been numerous occasions where I'd been, prime example is when I got released from Leicester and they'd sort me out trials and stuff like that. And I'd turn around and I'd say to my parents, I don't really want to go. If Leicester aren't going to take me, then me going there is going to be a waste of my time. You're obviously taking time off work to take me to these places, and if I don't get in, then it's a waste really. And that was my sort of view on football as a 16, 17-year-old. And I remember getting released from Leicester and then having a trial at Wolves, who said they wanted me to come in and see what I was doing. But I remember that morning of the trial, I was refusing to go. And it literally took physical force from my mum to place me in the car, to take me up to the trial. And I remember getting there and I was in like, don't think I spoke a word. But I remember training and I trained well. And I think over that week, I had a good training week, played a couple of games and I got invited back. So I think I needed to step out of that comfort zone, and I used some of that frustration when I got there and all the rejections I had just to go out there and just trying to prove a point.
Crystal Palace have been in the news this week because they've got the first program for like kids that are exiting the academy, and it's kind of a bridging program that every kid that they don't sign goes into. Is that something that you think you would have benefited from, or was this kind of your own journey that you just needed to go through?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that should be in place for especially young teenagers that are getting released from clubs. I think there definitely should be something in place for players like that. For me, I think it's definitely a different journey, and I look back now and it's definitely one that I wouldn't have changed for anything. But I definitely think that in terms of 16, 17-year-old dropping out of sort of full-time football as an academy player, I think there definitely needs to be things in place, because in their eyes it's football, or I don't know what else I'm going to do. So in terms of educational purposes and things like that, and making them understand what's to come, is definitely something that should be studied more, and more things should be put in place for them.
Do you think there should be non-footballing options as well put in place by the clubs, like avenues outside of football for people that kind of, if they do have that attitude of, if I'm not going to make it here, I don't want to go and make it anywhere else? Do you think there should be non-football avenues that clubs work with, like local colleges and businesses, to try and make sure that you're not just going off into nothing?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of players get to 16, 17 and they might realise, football might not actually be for me. I don't want to physically play the game, but there might be different avenues like doing the coaching badges, or they might want to be a referee and things like that, or they want to be a first team analyst somewhere. So there's definitely different avenues, I think, that the people can go down if they find out that they get to the age and the actual game isn't for them, or they've had when they get released and things like that. I think a lot of players will turn away from the game and think, I can't be put through rejection again, or injuries and stuff like that. So I definitely think that there's different things that they can definitely look into.
I think future-proofing your career as well. Like we've got Nathan Lowe at County now, who obviously you'll be familiar with his work, but he's doing
we all are, Hannah.
the business degree through the PFA, and that's again, it's just giving you skills and qualifications that you've got post football. If that's what happens, I think it's brilliant that there's more attention on it.
Yeah. Did you ever fancy being a referee? You mentioned coaching and stuff. As refereeing ever to go? Because I've done it, and I can tell you now.
I don't think I'd deal with players like me, to be fair. I think in the moment, I think there was one last night where I received a tackle and I didn't particularly like it, and I think the ref found out about it quite quickly. So
was it Gianni?
Yeah, no, it wasn't actually. But I think I'm bad, and then I look at some other players and I think they're 10 times as worse than me. So I definitely couldn't deal with that side of it. No.
It does make you think. I always think about referees. We give them a lot of stick, but at the same time, you look at it afterwards and you go, I couldn't do it.
No.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. And
yeah.
It's not good. So Stevenage and the ending up in the academy with Stevenage. How did that come about? Were you scouted when you were at Aylesbury, or was the connections from when you were at Leicester?
Yeah, no, I think when I got released from Leicester, I think there was I think at the time getting released from Leicester, I think there was a few clubs obviously thinking, oh, well, we'll get him in and have a look at him. And Stevenage was one of them. I remember coming off the Wolverhampton trial, thinking it was they told me I was going to sign. I didn't sign, and then I found myself sort of back home and didn't know what I was doing. I ended up going on a football course just at my school. So after you leave in year 11, you go to this football program and stuff like that. So I was in and out for a few weeks. So I'd go in on Monday and I'd be on a trial on Tuesday, come back in Thursday and leave Friday, and it was just all a bit all over the place. But I remember going into Stevenage on a Friday training, and then they wanted me to get involved in the game against Northampton the day after on the Saturday. So I played, I scored, and then they offered me a scholarship on the spot. And I thought it was the first time that someone had like wanted me straight away. There was no sort of waiting around. It was like, we want you. So that for me was just like, well, yeah, I'll definitely sign if someone's willing to do that after 2 days. So within 2 days, I'd signed a scholarship at Stevenage.
That's good. It's a good little story, that, isn't it? I like it.
Yeah.
See, I didn't have that. But you ended up going pro in 2020. Was it Graham Westler when you went pro?
So in my scholarship, it was Darren Saul, the manager.
Yeah.
And then it was Dino Mamaria. And then it was, I'm pretty sure it was Alex Ravel.
Revs was I think Revs was in charge when COVID hit, I think.
Yeah. So Graham Wesley did take over for a little spell as well, just as I was probably coming up to getting my pro contract.
Right.
So so Revs was our actual 18s coach as well before he got the first team job.
Was it Revs that had the conversation with you about the release when the pandemic hit?
Yeah, so I remember getting my contracts. So I got an extended scholarship through my injuries and stuff throughout my scholarship. So when all of my year got their decisions, whether they was getting released or getting their contracts, mine got extended due to injuries that I'd suffered throughout my scholarship. And then the January, they offered me my first professional contract. And then in the Feb, we obviously got told COVID, we're all going to go back and you work and do your stuff at home, basically. Thought that was coming back in whenever. Thought I got told that I was going to be in the plans for the season coming. And then I get a call telling me that I was getting released. So that one sort of hit hit quite hard. So yeah.
He must have hated that as well, because I've met Rebs and he doesn't seem like I don't know. He's a very, well, for when I've seen him, he's quite a upbeat and happy guy. And I can't imagine being able to take bad news from him, or him being able to deliver it in a way that's really appropriate. Like, I can imagine he was quite. He probably wasn't, but I would have imagined him to be quite. Oh, mate, you're all right. You'll be fine. Like, and yeah, I find it so hard.
I think it's a horrible conversation to have with anyone, but yeah,
especially on that basis. I know that it was unprecedented times, but to go from right, just carry on, go be at home, the season will start at some point, there'll be games. Yeah, I can completely see why you wouldn't assume that anything would be different. Was there ever any kind of rationale? Was it because the club were furloughing, or was there, because it can't be based on performance because you weren't there?
No, I assume that it was just to do with it being my first professional contract, and it was easy to just sort of get rid of me because I wasn't on massive amounts of money or anything like that. So it was, and I'm pretty sure it was a massive chunk of the squad as well. So it wasn't just me. There was loads of others that were on the same end of the phone call as well. So, but it was hard because it was my first professional contract, and throughout the 4 or 5 months at home, I was non-stop making sure that, all right, if I'm back in next week, I'm going to be in the best shape. I'm going to be in the best sort of frame of mind to go back in and hit the ground running. But I didn't get that opportunity. I think that's what sort of knocked me back a little bit more, was the fact that I'd worked so hard, and then I didn't get that opportunity to show what I'd been doing. So
yeah, that's why last night must have felt pretty sweet.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because Revs is the manager there now. He's first team manager now, isn't he? What did he say when you walked out? Did he? I mean,
to
I'm
be fair,
he
wasn't on the touchline yesterday. He wasn't on the touchline, so Scott Cuthbert took it.
Right.
So he took the game, but there was still I still saw our old coach driver that used to drive us to the youth team games. Oh. So it was good to he come over as I was going out for the warm up, and he was Jamie, and he goes, I've been following you and stuff like that. And it was good to see him because I hadn't seen him in maybe 6 years. So that was good to see some familiar faces last night.
That's nice as well. Like, as a grown up and a parent, like that suggests that you are a nice person. Like, it must feel like he's cared about. Like, he must see hundreds of players through the doors, and he won't keep track of all of them. But like that's kind of proper testament to you and your character.
Well, he was the first person. He was the coach driver, but he also took me in when I first sort of moved to the area. So I lived with him for about a month while they found me like a more secure digs to stay with. So for a month, him and his wife put me up for sort of 3-4 weeks. So, and then he took us to the away games and things like that. So yeah, it was really nice to see him last night.
I find that insane, by the way. I always thought, and I've watched quite a lot of podcasts about players coming into clubs at a young age and staying in digs. I always thought that was like a 90s, early 2000s thing. I didn't know that still happened until very recently.
No, it still happens. Like at County for the academy lads, because if they're over 18, they stay in Vita Towers in the centre of Manchester. But if they're younger, they stay with host families. It's not really called Vita Towers. That's just what we kind of affectionately call it. It's called City Suites or something. But yeah, where Pep stays.
Is it? Maybe he's your next manager. Well, we're moving away from football because the release from Stevenage came, and that's where your story takes a completely different route to what anyone else's did. Bricklaying, is that where you ended
up? I did a bit of everything. My first job, as soon as I got released, I think for a couple of months I didn't know what to do. I was thinking, well, I couldn't go and trial anywhere because of COVID. And I thought about just not playing football and just making sure that I got a secure job and I had to sort of come to terms with the fact that this might be just my life from now on, and I might play football just as a hobby and stuff like that. So I ended up, so my dad as well, during COVID, his business and things like that went bust and stuff. So he ended up getting just this warehouse job throughout the night. So he was doing the night shift, and he come back to me and he was like, "We're looking for someone else to come in and sort of help out." So I thought, this is my first job away. Like, I've left school, and I thought this football was just going to be my life forever.
Yeah.
And I was like, going into work, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how to talk to people surrounding work and what to say to get myself a job and things like that. So for me, it was just easy to go into work with my dad, and we worked in a warehouse with each other for nearly a year. Oh, well, over a year, from December to December. So again, it was good to spend that time with my dad working and things like that. But I knew instantly it was tough. We was doing 12-hour shifts, and I'd be finishing at midday, trying to sleep in the daytime, going back to work at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I knew that this wasn't something that I could do, but it was getting me by for the time being. So yeah, that was my first job as soon as I left Stevenage. And when football first, sort of, you were allowed to play again, I remember finishing work on a Saturday morning at sort of 11 o'clock, and I'd go home. I'd probably try and get an hour's kit before I went and played for Aylesbury United at 3 o'clock. So it was tough going. It was tough going.
Yeah. Well, you can actually answer then, because you've lived both sides of it. We see a lot of arguments, especially Premier League footballers. Like we've seen Rio Ferdinand tweet out before about New Year's Eve, saying, "Oh, I hope you're all enjoying your New Year's Eve. Spare a thought for us that are sat in a hotel because we've got to play tomorrow." And then you've got Wayne Rooney complaining about 12:30 kickoff, saying, "Spare, we've got to try and get pasta down at 9 o'clock in the morning." Would you rather be doing that, or would you rather be doing the warehouse work that you did? Because for me, I think it's a pretty easy answer, but it might not be.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely rather be playing at Man United eating pasta at 9:30 in the morning. So,
but even in your position now, you like working in a warehouse 12-hour shift. It's really hard, and a lot of footballers never get to see that side of life, because they do go from, they start in academies at 7-8 years old, and they're there until they're 16. Then they sign for even if they don't sign for that club, they sign for a League One, League Two club, and they're always in that football bubble. And you you were out of it, you were in it, you were out of it again. So you've kind of lived both sides of it. And yeah, I just always find it interesting, because it's rare that you find someone who can actually see both sides. But yeah, no, I'd definitely rather be earning 300 grand a week at Man United in any than anything. I'd sell my own kids for that. I'd take them down. I'd be like, come on, let's go. So you're managing, obviously working and playing back in non-league. Did you ever sort of think, I'm just going to stop football altogether at that point?
Definitely. I think it's easy to get yourself find yourself a job, and I think it's easy to concentrate on that and think, right, this is my life from now. It's 5-6 days a week. I need to get money into the bank. So it's like I can't focus on what ifs. What if I make it back into the pro game, and I can't put my heart and soul into everything and sort of now forget about my job. So it's like trying to find the balance. Okay, I can go and pick up however much when I go and play for Aylesbury at the weekend, or if I move to another local club and try and just pick up some extra money that way. But it's definitely hard, especially for the younger football players, because especially where I'm from, like, it's hard to get to the decent club. So I ended up moving to Tamworth a couple of years after, and was very fortunate that a couple of boys from near me that travelled up as well. So it was like, as a young player, you're trying to finish work, and then leaving work straight to go to training on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Sometimes you're questioning, well, can I finish in time to get to training? And it's all sort of interlinked, like the stresses of, oh, I might not be able to make training, might not play on Saturday now if I'm not going to training, but then I have to hold down my job. I have to do everything I can possible to work as hard as I can during my job. So obviously working on the building site as well, sometimes you work in 8-hour shift and you're carrying bricks and stuff like that in the winter, and then you got to go and try and perform at physical levels at training. It's hard, very hard.
Yeah, I can imagine it was horrible, really. Like I especially having to maybe give up the idea, like toy with giving up the idea because it's something that you've always known. I'm 37 and I've still not given up on the idea. Well, look, Teddy Sheringham went till 41, Hannah.
But I've been playing in the meantime.
I've been playing, just no one's been watching. This is the problem. I'm still doing, like, I'm coach. Do you know what? I coach under-8s football, and I swear to you, there's nothing more thrilling than when you take on a group of 7 and 8-year-olds and you win. Like, and I can't ever get over that. I don't know why. I'm stood there and I'm like, in my head, I'm going, that were fantastic. That, and then the other side of me is going, they are 7 years old. Like, yeah, it don't matter. Like, I'm running.
I'm pretty sure that must have been how my dad felt coaching me from 8 to 15. He was my grassroots coach on a Sunday.
It's great. It's great. You mentioned Tamworth. You ended up going to Tamworth in 2022. Back-to-back promotions. Yeah.
So from Aylesbury, I left Aylesbury to go to Kings Langley. Ended up finishing the season there. We stayed up final day of the season. So yeah, last game of the season at Kings Langley, we ended up staying up, and then that summer I ended up signing a contract with Kings Langley. Started the season with them, and then I ended up going on loan to Tamworth in the November for a month. Tamworth were flying, so I thought it was a good opportunity for me when they come calling. I wanted to see what I could do. So I went there, played.
At that point, were you kind of actively looking for other opportunities, or was this kind of a passive sit back and someone is watching you and says, do you kind of fancy this?
So I remember leaving Aylesbury, and it was, at the time, it was Russian Diamonds had come in for me, putting a 7-day approach for me. And Andy Peaks was the manager of Russian and Diamonds at the time. So, and one of my closest friends was at the club as well, and he obviously said to me, "Oh, why don't you come down?" And I've told him about you, and they're really interested in getting you in. But for me, Kings Langley was close to home. It was 20 minutes down the road for me. It was convenient. I already knew a lot of the boys there as well. So I didn't take him up on that. And then when I was at Kings Langley, they come in for me again in the first season, and it was just like, I've just joined. I want to just see what I can do here. I'm getting settled in and things like that. So the end of that season, I remember Andy Peaks leaving Rushden, and he went to Tamworth and took a chunk of the boys from Rushden to Tamworth. So he kept them up quite safely in the end. And then the new season, and I've signed a contract with Kings Langley at this point. And I remember he was still expressing views on, he wanted to get me in and stuff like that. And my friend was pushing me. He was like, "Please come down. They're interested." So I thought, why not? They're top of the league, near the top of the league, and they're pushing to wanting to get promoted this year. And I thought, why not? Why not put myself out of my comfort zone? I knew it was going to be hard with work, but I thought it was a massive sort of stepping stone to push myself. And obviously it was a bit difficult due to me being under contract with Kings Langley as well. So there was a few difficult conversations that I needed to have with them to let me go and on loan and stuff like that. So I went on loan for the month, and then I sort of had a falling out with Kings Langley over what was going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember not playing for 2-3 months of that season. So from December to Feb, I didn't play a game due to us having a little fallout. So I ended up going back to Tamworth in the February, finishing the season there, and then we ended up getting promoted. So
I've got a question just before because obviously you went Tamworth promotion and then straight away again in National League North, but playing non-league. Now, I've never asked this question, but I've watched podcasts, and Hannah, you're smiling, but you don't know what's coming, okay? And
I thought this was going to be Hannah spent a time in non-league.
No, Hannah has. I haven't. But right,
there we go.
No,
yeah,
that's not what it was. So there is a man in non-league football, okay, and I've watched many interviews with different players who are currently playing in the EFL now, who've spoken about this man, and I want to know if you've heard of this man. He's called the Footman.
The Footman. Is this the guy that asks for like the pick pairs of socks and stuff like that?
and tickles feet.
I think there's a lot of them people floating around on Twitter and other social media platforms.
Guys, reach out. I'll do anything for money. I will do anything. But I
thought he was gonna ask me about a player that I played with.
No. Well, why? Go on. What are you going to say?
No, I thought you just had like a.
You thought I found something out.
No.
No. So Footman is well known, and I think if I'm hearing right, he was last spotted around the Barrow area because he seems to turn up a lot with their players, and it was George Ray who was.
Yeah, George Ray's not a Barrow anymore, is he?
No, he's not. But that's the last time I heard of it. And
known
his last known whereabouts. Apparently, he's a bloke who just. He started when George was at Crewe. He used to just randomly message people through social media. Can you send me a video or a picture of you tickling each other's feet and I'll pay you 250 quid? And that's what he used to do. And it got to a point where some of the scholars at Crewe used to go and meet him. And they'd get in the back of his car and they'd put the feet through the little cinch of it and he'd tickle their feet and they'd give him 500 quid and they'd leave. And like,
you think Crewe of all teams would have like some more safeguarding practices around this?
Well, it's before everything came out at Crewe. But that's something that all like these players that have played non-league seem to know. But so are there a lot of people out there that are sending messages like that to players like yourself in the EFL?
Yeah, definitely. We had one the other week actually. Where was we staying? We stayed in a hotel on a Friday. It was before the Eastleigh in the first round of the FA Cup.
Yeah. And
one of the boys just went, "Oh, I've just got this guy messaging me about selling my boxer shorts or something like this." And then one of the other boys turned around and goes, "Oh, I've got the same message." And then it was just a massive table thing where we was all talking about the same geezer and showing each other like. And he was just asking for a pair of the boxer shorts and stuff like that. So
and everyone thought they were special.
He was offering decent money, to be fair.
Yeah.
I was a bit gutted because I didn't get the message, so I'm just still waiting.
So, yeah. If you're watching this.
Yeah, if you're watching this, they are for sale.
I'd hate to get a message. No, I'd hate it.
And I'd hate the money just transferring straight into the bank with the sort code. So George Ray actually had the same, and what he had was he woke up in the night, went on Instagram, had a DM, how much for your boxers, and he replied messing about going 500 quid, and they went, yeah, send your bank details. So he did, and then he looked and he had 500 quid, and he said he rang his agent next day, and he was like, I'm doing something a bit dodgy, but it's not illegal. And he was like, right. He said, I'm selling my boxes. He went, okay. He said he went to the post office and he was queuing to send it. And he said never been in a post office in his life. So when they got to the front and the woman said, oh, what is it you're sending? He went, oh, my used boxes. And she was like, no, clothing. Like she didn't want to know specifically. But anyway, it went on for months and months and months. And this was during COVID. And it turned out he was at Tranmere. It was one of the stewards who was at Tranmere with him, who was seeing him on a match.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. because he said he caught him out when he messaged him one evening going, "Oh, good game today, mate," and he's like, he realised no fans were in the ground, and then he knows exactly who he is, but he was spending like 500 quid. But he said, George said at the end, he were buying packs of boxes off for like Boohoo, going out in the garden, rubbing it on grass, and just sending them in.
Like, you know, that's what people do when they sell the used tights and stuff on eBay.
I keep all my tights, Hannah. I keep all my tights. So yeah, there's money. Look, there's options as well. There's options. There's always options to be made.
I wish I'd have known this.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, the amount of money that there is to be made on selling underwear, which is again, is just bizarre, and getting your feet tickled is apparently the footman is a really famous golfer's caddy.
Wow,
that's what we know. Yeah, that's what we know.
The same one that's tapping up
footman. Yeah. He's a golfer's caddy, a very famous golfer's caddy, which is why he's got his money, because he's throwing a lot of money around at people, just driving around in a clapped out Fiesta.
Right, should we move on?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to find out here if we can get. I want his number. I want to interview Footman. Back-to-back promotions. That second season, it's rare for people to go back-to-back. We don't really see it very often. Obviously, Wrexham have done it, but Wrexham have done it because if Wrexham didn't do it, it'd be a problem. It's rare that teams do go back to back. What was the secret for you guys there that kind of enabled you to just blast straight through that next division?
I think Andy Peaks and the coaching staff at Tamworth, the best sort of management I think I've ever dealt with in the way that he knows how to deal with different players. And I think we knew we wasn't going to be world beaters, or we wasn't going to be the best footballing team, but we worked hard and we worked for everyone. And I think we had loads of team nights out, and we'd go after training, we'd go and have a curry somewhere, or we'd go and do this, and everyone just got on, and there was no real bad eggs in the change room. So we just had, everyone was just a good group, and we had experience, and we had young sort of talent coming through. So we had a good mix of everything. And I think the momentum from winning the last game of the season and winning the league on the final day of the season before, and then going into, I think we played Scunthorpe on the first day of the season. And I think if we'd have played anyone else the first game of the season, I think it might have been a different season. But I think them coming down from the National League, and I think that
they were in trouble as well.
Yeah, I think they beat us 2-1, but we played them off the park at some points, and we lost narrowly 2-1. But that was the best thing that could have ever happened to us, was playing a team like them, coming down into the league, and us holding our own. And then after that, it was, I think we went on a little run. We was in, and I think we went to, where did we go after that? But we blew someone away 4-0 away from home at the second game, and it was just like, right, this is looking promising. And then we went on a very good run. And I think when you come into January in the position that we was in, it was like, how have we got here? Is this real? Because we're just Tamworth. We've just been promoted. We're on a low budget. We're playing teams like Scunthorpe, who are full time, and other teams that are hybrid and things like that. And it was weird. It was weird because you think, oh, it's going to come to an end. We're going to drop off, and I think that's what people were expecting. And game by game, it was like, okay, we're picking up points, we're picking up 3 points, we're drawing, and it was just a good place to be in, because there was no expectations, there was no pressure. It was just go and enjoy your football, just go and enjoy it, and it's whatever happens. And I think that was the main part of what the coaching staff there. We worked hard. We knew that we'd sort of run anyone off the grass, and we'd run harder than anyone. And I think that's a massive foundation that we put into the club. So
Do you know what I like? I like how you said there, the momentum of promotion on the last game of the season was what took you into this season, because that's where I'm at right now. And I keep saying to Hannah, I think we're going to drop off, and we don't drop off. We've won one game in 8 and we're somehow sat third in the league. And it's one of them things where that and I've said it a few times, Hannah, and I think the way that we went up is what has led to us having this season. And it's why I think when you look at the likes of Doncaster and Port Vale, who went up a couple of weeks earlier, the pressure was off. They never had that all or nothing moment. And I think that's what has really, really pushed us. And it's same for what you've just said there. I think when you're in those moments, it's sink or swim. It does help you kind of really all pull together, and the momentum does take you forward. But I keep expecting we'll drop off, and it doesn't seem to happen, as Hannah knows. She has to hear about it every single time. But yeah, so it's one of them things where you think it's going to happen, and then it doesn't, and you end up again. The club go back to back, especially with the likes of Scunthorpe in there. Like you say, that's a massive, massive thing.
Yeah, I think the season before, because it was us in Colville, we was both tied on the same points, and I think we was beating them by 2 goals going into the final day, so we was +2 on them on goal difference. And I remember there was a massive thing where I think we took 2,500 Tamworth supporters to Redditch away, and Colville went 1-0 up early, so there was 1 goal in it, and we then went 1-0 up, and then they went 2-0 up, so there was 1 goal in it, and we scored again 2-0 just before half time, and then we walked in at half time, and the Redditch over the announcements went Colville 3-0 up at Stourbridge, and we're thinking we're going to score 3. We're going to win 3-0. They'll go and win 6-0 and win on goal difference. But I remember coming out at half time, and I remember I'd only scored 1 goal that season, and it was for Kings Langley against Redditch in the same goal. So I scored 2 goals in that season, and they were both in the same goal. So we went 3-0 up, and as we scored, Stourbridge scored a penalty against Colville. So it ended up being a 3-goal swing. So in the end, it was comfortable, but it's something that I'd never experienced ever in football. And to this day, the way we won the league, it was like it will never be beaten that way. It was almost like Man City, the Aguero moment and stuff like that. That's how close it sort of got. So it was, to win it that way was unbelievable. And I think taking all of the highs throughout the summer, you come back in and it's like we haven't played in 3 months, but the atmosphere around the club was there. So I definitely think it was a massive, massive part in the success story of Tamworth.
Absolutely.
We had something like that with Spennymoor Town, who with Glenn Taylor scored against, I think it's Nuneaton, and we have Glenn Taylor Day at County. He's the most popular player never to have kicked a ball. I went to the testimonial in the summer. It's a thing. It's like, and I guess you've seen the other side of it as well, which we'll get to.
Yes, because you saw this is again though, Hannah, like you said there, it's like that was an Aguero moment. I used those exact words for what we went through. I said that was our Aguero. I'll never experience in the fashion that it happened again. So we're gonna come to that. And I know you sat there thinking, oh, shut up about it, man. We don't. But you boiled my piss for a season, and it starts now. So I can talk about it. So, what point did Walsall, or did you know that Walsall were interested and wanted to bring you in? Was it kind of before the season ended? Was it early on around Christmas time? Because it's a bit different with contracts when you're not, or you weren't full time. Sorry, at that point, were you?
No, so we were still part time, but I was under contract for the season at Tamworth. So they brought me from Kings Langley. So I had an extension on my contract at Kings Langley, and Tamworth ended up paying a fee for me. But little did I know that within 6 months that I'd then be a professional footballer again. So that wasn't even in the back of my mind going into that season. I was still working. I was still on like the building sites. I was working with my uncle doing air compressors and things like that. So I was doing 15-hour days on a Wednesday to make up for me leaving early on a Thursday to go and train. So again, I started off the season I personally got off to a flyer. Didn't think that I would be playing the way I was. Didn't know what had clicked, but I'd found something at Tamworth that they'd brought out this side of me that made me fear nothing. I knew that we was in a league where there's decent coverage. You can watch the games on wherever on the TV and stuff like that. There's good coverage on social media and things. And it wasn't till sort of October where there was some talk around my name. People sort of recognizing what I was doing on the pitch. And then I remember speaking with my agent now. He obviously, I signed up with him.
What a
and
guy.
Then going in.
What a guy.
Very good guy. Very good guy. So yeah, we had some conversations and on what it was looking like in the next few months. But the main focus was carry on the performances coming into January, and we'll see what happens. So I remember Barnet being interested, and a few other clubs came to watch me, but it wasn't until sort of the early January where I found out that Walsall were interested.
Easy move?
No. Well, easy as in it's what I wanted. The conversations that I had with Mat Sadler, the gaffer now, very, very good conversations that I had with him during that time, and I knew it was what I wanted. I didn't want anything else, and the way he spoke and the way he wanted me and the way they played, the style, how I was going to fit in was a no-brainer. But it wasn't plain sailing in terms of. So my last game for Tamworth was the 13th of Jan. I remember it because it was the day after my birthday, and we played Darlington away. And I remember at this point, I sort of knew the Walsall was going to happen. And I remember it being my 50th game for Tamworth. And I remember in the warm-up, I was just warming up and I felt my hamstring going in the warm-up. And I was like, right, I've not done a hamstring before, but that feels sore. So I remember going into the changing room just after the warm-up, and I said to the physio, I was like, and he goes, "What is it?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think I've pulled my hamstring." And I was like, "I'm gonna play because I don't know what a torn hamstring feels like. I've never done it." But I couldn't shake it off. And I remember we scored quite early, and I'm pretty sure it was a corner. I was on the edge of the box, and I nodded it down to one of the boys, and he scored. So I got an assist. And I remember straight from kickoff, the guy went to run past me, and I just couldn't get out of gear one. So I ended up coming off about 15 minutes in, and I knew it was bad, and I knew it was like, and instantly I thought, oh, I'm supposed to be going in next week, and I'm supposed to be doing this, and I could potentially be signing my contract. And right, if they know that I'm out for 6 to 8 weeks, is it going to be an issue? Am I going to get this move done? I remember going for one of my first days, and they sent me for a scan, and I had a grade 2 tear on my hamstring, which was 8 weeks. So over the weekend, I come home, and they was going to give me a call back basically to see what their decision was going to be. So from Saturday to Sunday, Monday, I was sat in my room thinking, is this ruin my chance of getting back into the full-time game? And it was probably the longest 48 hours of my life, thinking that this opportunity's been taken away because of unfortunate time, and it could have happened at any other point in the season, and it happened on that day. And everything that I'd been through to get to that point again, and it was like, it's just going to be snatched away from me. But I remember getting the call from the gaffer now, and he said, "No, we still want you. we still want to get it done and stuff like that. And it was just the world had just left my shoulders.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was still a tough period going in for 8 weeks and not being able to play. But again, I was just thankful to be in the building. So yeah.
Yeah, well, at least you got there. Thing is, if it had happened at another time, the opportunity might not have come up, because that might have been the time that Walsall looked. So, it's all worked out. You've got there.
Yeah.
You got where you wanted to be. Right. So you're at Walsall. That season finishes, and last season starts, and you guys are flying. And when I say flight, you are flying. It was one of the most dominant first half of the seasons I've seen in ever. I don't remember I think the closest team that I've seen to what Walsall were the first half of last season was the Leyton Orient team that won the league.
Yeah, and even that wasn't
the same.
Yeah, the gap was much bigger.
So this is where the conversation might get a little bit difficult, right? Okay. So Christmas 2024. You are 12 points clear at the top of League Two. You have week in, week out tweeted and boiled everybody up with just random comments and things like that have quite clearly got under people's skins. But hand on heart, 12 points clear at Christmas. Was there a belief in the squad that it was happening, that it was going to happen?
I think when you perform to levels like we did, and we would be losing games and it wasn't phasing us. We would be losing 1-0 and we'd come back and win the game. And that happened for a few weeks, I'm pretty sure, where we'd be losing 1-0, we'd come back, win the game convincingly. And I think if you look at our second half goals, I think we was the highest in the league of blowing teams away in the second half. Mm-hmm. So first half, it would almost be like 0-0 at half time, and we'd come out in the second half and it'd end up being 2, 3, 4. But we wasn't just winning 1-0. We was at Colchester at home where we was beating them 4-0. We'd beat Tranmere at home 5-0 and things like that. Like MK Dons came to us in January and we beat them 4-1, 4-2. So we were scoring goals, and there was a belief, I think, where okay, we're top of the league, but I don't think for a second we thought it's done. I don't think as a professional, I don't think you can think like that. And I think there's a little voice in the back of your head saying, right, you're a game closer, you're a week closer to the end of the season. You keep picking up points at the speed you are. It's like you're going to be there or thereabouts. So there's no need to panic if you go and lose a game or two, as long as you get back straight on it and you go and win the next one and the next one after that. So I think at Christmas, I think we played Doncaster on Boxing Day and beat them at home 2-0. And I think we then went to Notts County New Year's Day as well, and they was beating us 1-0 at half time. We ended up winning 2-1. And I think the reaction after the game was like, because they was doing well at that point as well, and I think that was a massive 3 points in terms of okay, right, we've just blown them out of the water in the second half, and we've come back from the first half performance where we was nowhere near it to switch the mentality and change the formation and things like that to then go and beat them 2-1. And I'm pretty sure they had a goal disallowed in the last kick of the game for offside. And you thought your luck, it was there. Yeah. And you think if that keeps happening week in, week out, you're not going to be far off. So,
yeah. Well, but just before we come on to sort of the second half of the season, in between that, there was the FA Cup, I believe, with Bolton. Is that like that the same season? You look, see the smile, Hannah, the smile. Tell us what happened in the 90s.
Bolton Cup smile as well. It's
I bet his Bolton Cup smile's bigger than your one, because what happened in the 91st minute against Bolton in the FA Cup?
Probably my favourite ever goal. My favourite ever goal, my favourite ever moment being a football player. Yeah, we went 1-0 down, and I think quite early on the second half, and we nicked one back quite early, and then it was blow for blow. It would be they'd attack, we'd attack, and you thought it was just gonna sort of the minutes were sort of they were ticking. You look up at the scoreboard and it's like, all right, we've got 5 minutes left. To get what we deserve, and I thought we deserved to win, and you thought, okay, right, it's not, we're gonna have to settle for, I think it goes straight to penalties, the FA Cup games, doesn't it? Or was that last year?
Extra time,
it's
and
the,
then
the capital or the car.
So yeah, we was thinking we're gonna have to. Me personally, I was thinking, right, it's gonna go to extra time now, and I remember it was Lowy at the time. He held the ball up, and I remember I was blowing. I'd been running headless chicken for 90 minutes, and I remember sort of standing still, thinking he's not going to control that. And I remember he brought it down, and he's held the defender off. He's turned, he's looked, and he saw me run off his other shoulder. He's turned again, and he sort of just left it in there for me. And it's like time froze, and it was just me and the keeper, no one in the stands, and it was like I could hear my own heart beating. And I remember just absolutely just rocking it into the top corner, and even for like a second or two after the ball had hit the net, it's like the reaction was delayed, and it just all of a sudden just slow motion erupted. And I'm pretty sure I remember seeing the video from a Bolton fan that videoed it, and he goes, "Oh my god!" Like he's through, and then you just see all of our crowd just absolutely go mental. So yeah, that's something that will live with me definitely throughout my career and beyond. So
how does it take to come down from a moment like that? Like to come back down to normal? How long was that feeling with you for?
Still today, like even like I think back at it. I've got a signed picture in my house of that game, and I've actually given one to my mate to put up in his barber shop as well of that game. So every time I go, like I was in there today, and I went in and I look at it every time, and it reminds me of what I've done to get to that point, and score goals like that, because that's all I wanted to do as a kid was score goals, especially against a team as big as Bolton as well. I remember being ex-Premier League and things like that. So
you've just reminded me. I was sent a question. Okay. What impact has your barber had on your career?
He's had a massive impact on my career. So he's also my best mate, and he's probably been my best mate now for a year or two. But before we have conversations now. I remember playing against him when I was at Aylesbury United, and I remember getting my hair first cut by him a few years back, and one of the first conversations we had, and he goes, like, I never really liked you. He goes, when I played against you, he goes, I didn't like you. And he goes, and I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, you know why? He goes, because you reminded me of myself and the way I used to wind people up when I was a professional. And he goes, your character is similar to mine. And he goes, but now I've got to know you and the person that you are. He goes, he's like, I wouldn't want to be friends with sort of anyone else any different. He goes, but you just remind me so much of myself that when you're doing it to me and against me, he goes, I hate it. But he goes, now I get my hair cut with him every week. He go, we do things on days off and things like that. And it's weird because I remember when I was going through the ranks and I was coming up through Tamworth, he put me in contact with my agent now, because that was his agent when he was playing. So he goes, just don't make the same mistakes that I did growing up and being a professional footballer. He said you'll go far. So I take a lot of advice from him, and he comes to watch me a lot and watches all my games on TV. So
that explains where the question came from and why the question came, then, doesn't it? Yeah, because I got no context other than just ask him what role his barber played on his career, and I was like, I'll ask. I'm not going to ask any further information. I'll just see what comes out. That's good though. I like that because that backs up. It's like what I said earlier. Like, you hate it when you're on the other side of it, and then you see the other. It's from, like, if you would. Last season, and we are coming on to it now. Last season, I was on the wrong end of it for the first half of the season, and then the second half, you were on the wrong end of it, and it's so different because now the position that you guys are in the league, I'm quite happy to see it. I quite enjoy, because I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with Swindon fans, so seeing you guys be up there just above them is great for me. So we said second half of the season, obviously things kind of really, well, I think the way to put it is it went wrong. Do you think that first half of the season and the points gap that you had, do you think as that points gap started to shrink, that's where the pressure got worse and worse and worse, because you could see that teams were starting to close?
For me personally, I never expected my first season in professional football to be the way it was. I never expected to start as many games. As much as I backed myself, I thought, right, it's going to take some time for me to stamp my authority and make that sort of position my own. And then to start the season again, personally, the way I did, and then as the team grew with every game, and to come into Christmas being that many points clear was no coincidence. I think a lot of people that saw us play would understand why we was top of the league, and no matter who we faced, different tactics or whatever, it was all about us. We never, of course, we done our information and our homework on our other teams, but realistically, it was about what we do. So game by game, it was all right. Games are coming. We don't need to worry too much. We've got momentum. We've got enough in here to defeat anything that's sort of coming our way. Yeah. So as easy it was for us to win games, I think coming into the back end of January and then the start of Feb, you find yourself, all right, we've lost a couple. We need to get back on the horse now and turn these losses, these little fine margins into draws, and then we then start winning games again.
Yeah.
And I think as easy as it was for us to go 9 games in a row, I think we won 9 in a row in the league, as it was then you find yourself in the same sort of pattern in your losing games. And we had conversations as a group, as a team with management staff and how we was gonna put things right. And I think we had a spell where we won 2, and then we went to Cheltenham away and we was 2-0 up in the 89th minute. And I think we ended up we drew the game 2-2 with a last minute winner. And I think you think moments like that, we was on the receiving end too many times. So in the first half of the season, we'd find ourselves scoring them late goals, giving ourselves that momentum going into the next game, and we then found ourselves on the receiving end of decisions of goals where you think, how is he scoring from there? And we ended up dropping points that way. And I don't think subconsciously you think about the league, because at the end of the day, when you're on the pitch, you don't think about a league table. You think about the game in the moment. You think about the next pass and next tackle and things like that. So it's not on the back of your mind, but when you come into the change room after the game, you're thinking, we've lost, or we've dropped points where we should have won. It's definitely hard, especially after the standards that you set at the start of the season. If you go throughout the season and you win one, you lose one, and it's a constant you find your medium, but we was there, and now we're finding ourselves trying to win games and trying to build ourselves back up. Yeah, it was definitely hard. I think I'd be lying if I said it wasn't hard. And I think if you're in any other position, the top end of the table, it's a bit easier to take. But when you set high standards, and as a group we know where we want to be, there was definitely some tough moments within the change room last year.
And for you, we spoke about social media a few times. How did that affect you? Because you went from kind of being like the hero. Obviously, the Walsall fans were loving everything that you were doing, and then it kind of every EFL fan or League Two fan kind of saw that you were the player that everyone knew was vocal on social media. So you kind of became the, if you lost, you were tagged. If someone else won or they closed the gap, you were tagged. How did that affect you, and how did you manage that? And has it changed how you approach social media?
Do you know what? To start, when I would tweet about games and things, it was never to rattle anyone. It was never to, oh, do you know what? I'm gonna go for someone here. It was more about focusing on the team. And for me, it was just me being in this environment, winning games in professional football was just a massive part for me. And I think when I tweeted about games, it was more just like, wow, like I'm here and I can use my power now to reach out and thank the fans for coming and supporting and things like that. I wanted to be that person that appreciates our fans. It wasn't to wind any other fans up. And I think when you're in and amongst professional football and you see teams are doing well, it's easy to think that someone's doing it to try and get a reaction. And it was never the aim to start. And I know that a lot of fans, rival fans, would tag me in things after, and they'd tweet me, send me direct messages and things like that. But for me, the season was never about, it was just a blessing me playing professional football again. And then a lot of things happened during our sort of second half of our season, which again, like I don't mind people messaging me. It doesn't affect me and the way I play. Like, I love people doubting me, because I've had that throughout my career. I've had people say that you're not good enough, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. So rejection and people saying that I'm not going to do something is never been, that's my fuel. That's my, okay, right, they said I played bad this week. 100 people can go and say that to me on social media, but I know that if I go and play well the next week, the comments won't be the same. So for me, it's never an issue, people trying to come for me on social media. So it's especially like if our fans say that, oh, I haven't played well or things like that. I know that, all right, I need to go and have a good game next week. And throughout that week, it's like, I know myself if I haven't played well, and I know myself if I've had a good game. So you're just telling me things that I already know in myself, because I'm critical of my performances regardless. There's always things that I can improve on. So
do you know,
honestly, Liam won't like this, but as a neutral, I think, because generally not that many players are particularly active on platforms like Twitter, X, it does come across as kind of pride and gratitude. So don't let Liam.
No, I'm not. Do you know, there's nothing worse.
It's wholesome and lovely.
Hannah, right, here's the thing. There's only one thing worse than somebody posting something to rile you up. It's when they do it without meaning to rile you up. That's when it's even worse. When they didn't, when you're riled up and they don't even know.
Do you know what? Like, yeah, and that's because there is a scarcity of players for good reason, because it's a hellscape on social media. There, we talked in the past about when Corey Adai was at Crawley, and he used to be very active. He's not at all now. And I think, yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, isn't it? That kind of exchange and interface. Whereas in the past, you hear it from the I was gonna say the terraces. You can tell how old I am, but do you know what I mean? As opposed to that kind of direct dialogue and being able to attack someone, because ultimately it reflects on the day that you've had as well. So you've had a shit day at the office because your team's lost to Walsall, and then you see Jamie being like, "Oh, we've had a great day."
I know we didn't lose to Walsall.
I'm
just pointing that out. I'm just pointing that out. We did all right. We were lucky because we didn't experience that moment
after Nathan left.
Yeah, after Nathan, we were actually it was that you mentioned about going like a 9-game winning run, and then you obviously went on a run where you were struggling to win. It was Bradford was the first game, wasn't it? It was 3-0 at Valley Parade. And that was just after Nathan Lowe had gone. But we won't go into that part of like the season because we all know what happened. But Hannah, I want you to mediate this part because I'll go minute by minute. I'll go minute by minute of the last game of the season, and I feel like we need somebody who's impartial to mediate. So,
but
Hannah, if you want, we can.
Jamie, that like we've had the Swindon game where Bradford pissed it all away. Liam was up and down like a roller coaster, even within 10-minute gaps. The phone calls that I'd get, the texts that I would get.
By the way, Jamie, sat in the home end at Swindon, in the home end with Swindon fans who I know, and we lost 5-4 in the last minute of the game. And I put a tweet out and I said, if anybody hears about this car in the central reservation of the M6 North this evening, mind your business. Because I rang everyone in my phone book that would answer and just said, we've thrown it away. I actually I'll tell you this one after. I'll tell you that after. But it's I was just done. I was so done with it. And it was because I still believe if we'd have beat Swindon 4 games before the end, I think we'd have won the league. I think that we had that momentum, and that Swindon game took it out of us, and then it ended up going to the last game.
All right, it's not about you.
No, we're setting the scene. Doncaster beat us, and we had to watch Doncaster get promoted against us at their ground, and then we ended up coming to the last game. We had Fleetwood, which was hard enough for me as it is because I like Pete Wild, and I met up with them in the morning before the game. I went and met them because the hotel that the team's staying is right by my house. Went and met them in the morning. Then I had to go watch Bradford Fleetwood. So, Hannah, I mean, it's up to you what part of the game you're starting. I often find around the 89th minute is a nice place to start, but you go well ahead, Hannah, and you control it.
I feel like I've been set up for failure.
Yeah, you have.
Like, because you'd finished, right? Your game had finished. You had done everything that you can do. At that point, are you in a frame of mind of like, we've done enough? And are you at all giving any kind of shit what's happening with Bradford and Fleetwood?
It was... I tried to find words to describe the final day of the season. And I think throughout the first half, it was like, right, we need a goal. We need to score. Mm-hmm. And half-time, we knew elsewhere that they were still drawing. Mm-hmm. So we like, right, the longer they stay 0-0, if we can get one, we can get one, and then they'll, how football works, and their fans find out that we've scored, then the whole atmosphere changes in their ground. So I think we scored probably 60 minutes in, so we went 1-0 out, and at that point you're thinking, if we just stay 1-0, the pressure's now back over there. It's on them, and I remember coming off in the 90th minute, and I've come off and I'm sat on the bench, and you feel like the job's done. They're at 90 minutes or whatever they are, and it's like, right, we've done our job. That's it. Like, we've got a few minutes to see it out, and then the celebrations start. And then we're literally within a couple of minutes of me coming off, you hear the crew fans start cheering, and you're thinking, what's going on? And then you hear one of the boys like with their phone, and you hear them go, oh, Bradford have scored. And you're thinking, like, it's got to be a wind up. And then I remember all of our crowd just sort of, it went from noise to nothing. And then you hear the final whistle blow at our place. And then we knew that Bradford have scored, and we knew that we was going to have to settle for the playoffs. And I've never been, again, the way you walk around the pitch and you have to hold it together almost to come for 46 games for where we was to then accept what had happened was definitely the hardest. I know it was my first season. It's definitely the hardest day that I've ever had in football, and I think a lot of the boys would agree.
You've had the best moment in that season as well, haven't you, with Bolton? So you've had the high, and then you've had the low.
I think I've experienced every emotion, every feeling within 10 months of being at the club. Within one season, I'd experienced everything, from being at the top end to feeling like the way we was going felt like that day was we was getting relegated. That's how it felt. Was like that emotion, the way you walk off the pitch and you sit in the changing rooms after, and there's silence. It feels like we'd just been relegated. That's just how everyone was. And then you accept that, right, we've got to now get back to work on Monday and go again for the playoffs, which a lot of, I think it's hard to take that on board after being accepting, like, right, with this many points clear, we keep this up, we keep the points coming at a steady basis. It's like you just have to finish in the automatics, and to go from being promoted for half hour of the game to near enough last kick of the game, and then you find yourselves in the playoffs. So it's the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with, definitely.
Do you know what the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with is?
This better be nice.
No, it ain't. No, listening to him tell that story, because I know how much it, obviously, how much it affected you. But when you said, and all of a sudden the crew fans started cheering, my smile cracked a little bit, and I was like, nope. And that's where I was sat.
No, you see, I went the other way. I felt sick because I can imagine it, but also when Jamie mentioned playoffs, I physically shivered. Like, it was a proper, like, visceral reaction, because it's cruel. Playoffs are cruel. Really, really fucking cruel.
We had the opposite of what you had, in that about 80 minutes in, someone in, and I still believe it was a Fleetwood fan, started telling people that Crew had scored, so that all the Bradford fans started cheering, and we're all on our phones going, no, not here. But people are celebrating, the hugging, and it's like
when you're on the receiving end, it's horrible.
Yeah,
but you think if it's a Fleetwood fan, it's good banter from him.
If it was, yeah. But then again, it probably was just a stupid Bradford fan at that point, because that would happen as well. But yeah, we went from, obviously, we swapped places. You were job done. We were playoffs, and it swapped. And I didn't believe we were going to score in that game. I didn't see it coming. It wasn't, we weren't dominating play. We didn't look like we were going to score. It just, I said, I think I've told Hannah, I texted my missus in the 89th minute and said, yeah, you can throw me some tea on, I'll be home soon. And then obviously 5 minutes later, I'm texting her again, going, take it back out, I'm not coming home. And she's like, well, when are you going to be home? I said, it's a bank holiday. As long as I'm back by Monday, don't worry about it. And we went from, obviously, accepting playoffs. And to be fair, we'd kind of accepted playoffs already. I think going into it, we with me, especially with the Swindon game, I'd accepted it, and then the Donny game. So to have that moment was obviously the complete opposite to you. But how do you bounce, or how does Mat Sadler get you guys off of that pitch at Crewe, deal with that process that you've got to deal with, and get you ready for playoffs? How does that take place? What did he say after that last game?
I think there's not much you can say to describe feelings or how anyone's feeling, but at the end of the day, there's still an opportunity to get promoted, so you can't shy away from it. You have to just pick yourself up. Yeah, we've been through probably one of the hardest paths throughout a season, and to be on the receiving end of what we as a team went through, to then drop into the playoffs, is more of a, you have to use that as, you have to use the anger, the frustration, and every emotion that you felt within that final day of the season, and you take it into the first leg of the playoffs, because we can't just shy away and then let Chesterfield roll us over, because and then we haven't got that opportunity then to push and try and get promoted like the other teams were trying to do. So again, it's completely different, because if you're eighth on the final day of the season and you manage to get yourselves into the playoffs on the final day, it's a completely different feeling to if you're dropping in. So again, I think in previous years, you look at the teams that have slipped into the playoffs, they tend to sort of lose the first leg of the playoffs, and they don't even make it to the finals. So for us, it was all about bouncing back, and we had to bounce back quite quickly.
And you did.
We did, yeah, quite convincingly in the end as well. I think it was a dominant away performance at their place, and that set us up nicely for the home leg. And again, the scenes after the second leg at home were again something that will stay with me for a long time, because when you deal with what we went through on the final day of the season, to then 2 weeks later find out you're going to Wembley, and you think like, all right, this is just the way we was meant to do it. This was our path. This was our journey. We wasn't meant to go up automatically. We was meant to do it the hard way. And when you win the semi-finals and you go into the final, you've then got that momentum again. We've won 2 games, which we didn't do for however long in the last however many months of the season. So we went from Crewe winning both playoff legs. So we'd won 3 games in a row, which we hadn't done. So you're thinking, right, this is just the way it was meant to be. So we went into Wembley with all the confidence in the world.
I love that this all happened in your first season, and then you get to play at Wembley. What was that like?
If you'd have told me 3 years ago that I'd have been a professional footballer again, it was like I'd have laughed at you. And then if you'd have said to me that I'd have won a goal of the month, I'd have scored a winner against Bolton, and I'd have been top of the league for 5 months, and we then dropped into the playoffs and won both legs, and then playing at Wembley, it was the most roller coaster thing I think you can go through as a player, and let alone be it like your first season back in full-time football. So yeah, it was obviously surreal, because you go and visit the Wembley in the week prior to the game. So you walk out and you're looking around, and it's just like, this is going to be filled with over 50,000 people in less than a week. So yeah, it was an unbelievable experience.
Better to lose in the semi-finals or lose at Wembley?
I think I'd definitely pick losing in the final any day. I think, yeah, you can't sit there and think, oh, it's better to lose in the semis and miss out on an opportunity, because then you're accepting defeat. At least you go toe to toe and you go all the way. Of course, it's probably harder to lose that way, but I'd choose it. I'd choose it every time, definitely.
Just to be out on that pitch.
Yeah, I
That,
think
that's isn't it? Any kid growing up in England that wants to be a footballer,
Yeah,
that's the ultimate goal, to be on that field at Wembley.
yeah,
I nearly got there
definitely.
as the chicken. But we lost in the semis to Carlisle. They made me sign a waiver.
He had such big plans
I
about
did because
the whole chicken at Wembley thing was
because they made me sign a waiver, and it was like, you're not allowed to go onto the actual pitch. You have to go around the edges of it. And I'm like, well, what are they going to do if I go on the pitch? They're like, well, you won't be allowed to come back as the chicken again. I'm like, that is fine by me.
Yeah.
Like, once I've done it once, I'm running on with a football and I'm just levering it in. I couldn't care less. I'd have missed, but still, I'd have had a shot on the pitch at Wembley. So to kind of go from what happened in the final, obviously Wimbledon ended up getting promoted. We go over to this season, and throughout the summer there was obviously something that broke over the summer. We're all aware of it, and it was the charge that you received from the FA. Now, we don't really understand. It was the first time I tweeted, I think, for me, in support of you, because you, like I say, you'd wound me up so much last season. But I was fully, I think it's so difficult, and I obviously this is my opinion, no one else's opinion, but betting companies are allowed in football. Betting companies are allowed on the front of football shirts. They're allowed in stadiums. It's there for people to do. And when you're a young lad who's been in football pretty much his whole life and not really had much outside of it, there's not really many life lessons that are taught to you about that. Can you sort of explain what happened in your words for that whole scenario, and how it came about when you first found out from the FA, and what you kind of thought when it came up?
So it was really sort of just out of nowhere. I remember speaking to the manager after the Wembley loss that same evening, and he spoke to me, and he was like, "Can we have a sit down tomorrow, and just have a conversation about just things and stuff like that?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, of course." Like, I'm obviously planning to go home for the next 4 weeks, see family, go on holiday and stuff like that. So I remember waking up in the morning, and I met him for a coffee. I remember sitting down, and I thought we was just going to talk about the season, what had happened individually, and what's to hold for next season, and where we're going to go, sort of thing. And I instantly knew that there was something that was going on, because me and the gaffer, we've got a very sort of close, we've got a very good relationship. And the amount of times I've gone into the office and sat down and talked about, it might just be little things and stuff like that, but he's definitely someone that I look to, I can have a conversation with, and sort of talk to him if I don't feel good on some days and stuff like that. I can go in and have an honest conversation with him. So I know him well enough that I knew that there was something not quite right. And I remember him sitting there with me and just saying, "This isn't a conversation that I want to be having with you. It's not a good conversation." So I'm sat there thinking, what could this be? What's going on? And then he said, obviously, about the FA are going to charge you with basically betting offences and stuff like that. And I instantly just remember staring, because it was pouring down with rain, and it was just fitting for everything that had happened the day before and everything that was going on in the moment. And it was pouring down with rain, and I remember just breaking down in tears, because of everything that I'd achieved that season. It felt like, again, there was just something there waiting to take everything away from me. So rejections in the past, injuries, moments where I thought I'd never play professional football. And I knew that the season that I had, there was obviously interest from other teams as well. I'm not gonna sit here and say like I had a bad season, when I knew I had a very good first half of the season, and there was people still talking about me. So I remember sitting there and thinking that this was my career again, going to be done. It was going to be over. And I sat there with him for about well over an hour and couldn't get my words out. And I was trying to speak to him and explain and tell him this and tell him that. And I just couldn't physically get the words out to even try and tell him how I was feeling. And I remember him sitting across the table with me, and I could see the emotion in his eyes as well. And that I knew from that conversation, the relationship that I had with the gaffer and like was something that he was going to help me through, and I could speak to him about anything. So throughout the summer, he was checking in. Do you want to go for a coffee? Do you want to get some food or whatever it may be? I knew that I had someone that was there for me, not just as a football player, but as someone who he genuinely cared about me. So
a support network, a good support network in place.
Yeah.
It's the charges or the breaches are sort of 2019 to 2023. So obviously before you were at Walsall, you ended up receiving a fine and a suspended ban. That period there, there was another incident involving someone else, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was like a CEO or someone high up at another club who received a very, very low ban, and it was like they had like thousands upon thousands upon thousands of bets. And I was like, well, hang on, he's received that for his thing, and he knows, where players are moving. He knows what's happening. And I actually tweeted out saying, you've got nothing at all to worry about, in my opinion, because if he's only got that, there's levels to it. How long did it take from that moment to when you actually found out that it was, this was the outcome? It's a fine, it's a suspended sentence. How does that process go? Do you have to go to like a hearing and things like that? I've never really known how it works.
So I remember that was probably the 27th of May. So I remember, but I knew that the club had found out prior to this. So the club had found out throughout the month, and obviously basically just, can we hold off until the end of the season? So that was, again, knowing that I was playing games and people sort of knew about it. But I obviously respect the decision, and I obviously like to allow me to play without any stress. So I totally get why that was decision made, and it feels like the 4 weeks that I had off were just plagued by thoughts, and so I'm on holiday and I can't switch off. I can't, because I'm constantly just thinking about what's the next thing in my journey, because okay, I'm going back into pre-season. Am I going to get banned in a couple of weeks? Is it going to be a few months, or am I going to play half of the season and then they come to a decision? So it was all of these things going around in my head thinking, and then I've got to try and train and get myself up to fitness to come back in for pre-season, and I didn't know what my future was going to hold. So it was definitely hard, but I remember within a week I had my first sort of hearing, just to basically talk about what had gone on, and I've basically just got to say my side of the story and how I felt, and then they go away and do whatever they need to do, and then I basically go to another hearing after they charge me to basically plead my innocence and tell my side of the story, basically.
Does your side of the story differ from theirs a lot? Is it, like I say, I think the rules are such a grey area, and I think it's so hard for people to kind of really understand what the rules are, especially when you've not been told and I don't think that they are really told in a clear way, especially to the younger lads. Was it a case of you going in there and saying, "Well, hang on, this is what you think happened, but actually it was different"?
I think when it's very hard to sit in front of someone and try and talk about something that you probably don't know enough about. So when they're telling me about all of these things, it's hard because I'm sat there, and for me trying to tell my side of the story, it felt like there was someone out there to try and get me. So I'm sat there trying to say, like, I'm not this person that you think I am. And I think that's a lot of things over the last few months, is trying to prove that people are trying to maybe looking at me differently, and me trying to get my point across and say what I was going through at that time of my life, what had been going on, things that I'd been facing, going through, and to not have a sort of an understanding or a knowledge to know what I was doing in that moment was hard, because I'd sort of turned my life around, and I'd sorted everything, all of my issues out, all of my problems that I had in that time of my life. And when problems from that point get then sort of dragged back up, it was sort of very hard to deal with, and I felt like I was very hard to understand.
And was it was the gambler, and it wasn't in matches that you were playing in, was it like, what's the kind of, was it an addiction, is it a compulsion, was it out of boredom, like how did that kind of defense take shape, I guess?
I think growing up within sort of watching like my dad play over a Saturday, and it be a Saturday league, it was more like it was normal to just put a bet on a Saturday. It was just normal. So I remember just being 18, 19, and it just be something that I had seen growing up. And like growing up, and your mind's constantly, when it gets to a Saturday, it felt like normal for me, and I didn't know that it was something that I couldn't do. And I think with high profile cases coming out in the news and things like that, and people getting sanctions and whatever within that period of time, that's when I sat there and I had conversations with people, and I knew that it wasn't right. And you can clearly see that within the time frame that I stopped, and it wasn't an addiction for me. It was just something that I grew up with. So it wasn't ever an intentional thing, like I know I'm doing wrong, but I'm going to carry on and do it. It's like, it wasn't if I got caught doing it and then like I stopped. It was like I stopped off my own back, and I that was the hardest thing for me. It was like I didn't actually do it for 2 years, and then it was after, So I'd changed my life, changed my career, and then I'm getting punished for it 2 years down the line, sort of thing.
And how on earth does that come to light? I mean, presumably the EFL aren't kind of sitting there. Well, I don't know. Like, how did it even kind of come to their awareness?
I got told by the FA that they have people within betting companies that will search names and it flags up or whatever. But again, it was like, why is that now? Why is it happening now?
Yeah.
Which is the bit I couldn't get my head around, because there was a lot of things around Tamworth in my first season where someone else got done and for betting in the team, and I'm pretty sure that if one player gets caught for betting, you would do a search. So why didn't I then get searched at that time? Why did it take 2 years down the line to actually for it to come to light? So
it's a weird thing. I think you said it wasn't an addiction, but it's kind of a habit, isn't it? With the routine of Saturday football, it's part of it. It's like with I see it now. I have a set routine of what we do. It's just you go to the, like for us. I get up, I leave the house at 12. I get to the pub for 12:30. We stay in there for a few hours. We then walk to the ground. We go in through the same turnstile. There's so many habits, and football fans are very, very superstitious as well. And once they do it once and it works, and that's the routine, it stays with you. So for you, knowing what you know now, and like you say, it's not even like there isn't out there a real, like, readily available course that players can go on until they get to the point that you were at. It's not something that players can just go, I want to learn about that, and it's, or if it is, it's not publicized. What advice would you give to players that are in sort of National League North, National League, the leagues sort of below that, you know, are looking to come up? What advice would you give them when it comes to betting? Because is it just a straight no gambling at all, or is it just not football?
Yeah, so but step 4 and above is the cut off for where you're not allowed to bet
On anything.
No, so just football. Right. But I would say to any young player coming through from 15, 16, coming into that age where you get into 18 and you can do whatever you want, I definitely would just say stay away from all sorts of gambling, regardless of what it is, because you find yourself, okay, it might be a couple of quid or whatever, but it does total up, and I know there will be a lot of their friend groups that might be doing that stuff, but if you definitely have aspirations of being a football player and a professional football player, definitely stay away from, or definitely research what you can do to prevent what I went through. But yeah, I'd say definitely do your research and it just ask questions. Any football club that you're at is definitely just ask questions, because you don't want that grey area and taking any risks. So,
do you think if you'd never got back to the EFL, do you think that it would have come about? Do you think that you would have it would have never ever come out?
Never. I definitely don't think so. I generally think, I don't know, maybe if I didn't have the season I had.
Yeah, people are always looking for a reason.
Maybe if I went under the radar a little bit, and I wasn't putting in the performances I did, maybe I would have again. But it maybe have come out in a year or an extra 6 months. You never know, and that's just. Everything happens for a reason, and that was what happened to me over the summer. And I thought Wembley was hard, and then finding that out a day later it's been probably the toughest 6 months of my life. So
yeah.
How is it something, you know, we talked about people sending messages on social media and things like that. What's the reaction been from both the Walsall fans, and then is it something that you know, fans being funny on the terraces are leveling at you now?
That was my biggest issue, sort of coming back and playing again, was the reaction that I was going to get, because I think off the back of the season that we had, it was hard for players, and I know it's hard for the fans as well. Like, they pay that money to watch us up and down the country, and to have that ending was tough on them as well. And I think when we finished like we did, to then have news like that come out as well, it's hard. I think it's hard for people to understand if you don't know the actual story. And I think it's easy for people to make comments and talk about it and it was hard for me as well, seeing everything, people talk about things when you don't know the full story. And I I then can't sit there and tell them, well, this is actually what happened. This is what I was going through. This is the person that I was. And you don't know that person. You know me as who I am now, and that person that you saw putting in the performances last year. And now is a time where I need you guys to be with me as well.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard because I think a lot of fans would probably sit there and say towards the back end of last season that I wasn't the same player as I was at the start, and I feel like I took quite a lot of pressure on my shoulders, thinking I knew that I was that player, and I was putting in them performances, and things started to, we didn't put in the performances that we was, and I took a lot of that blame, and I took a lot of that because I knew that my performances wasn't up to what I was putting in the first half. And I look back and I know it wasn't just me, but I think could I have altered, could I have changed anything that I'd have done? And away from football, I was doing more because I thought if I do more, then that will show on the pitch. And I think sometimes you try too hard, and you just need to let things happen naturally. But towards like the start of the season, I think I definitely had a lot of conversations with people, and they obviously a few of the fans sort of knew my story, like having detailed chats with them in the stands or after a game. But there was still a lot of speculation, even through rival fans and things like that. So I was taking the banter comments from Wembley, and then it obviously then got leaked somehow into social media, which was something which was hard because I felt like I'd only just found out myself.
Yeah.
And then hearing that other people sort of know about it, which was hard because I hadn't come to terms with the fact that this is my career and my future. Yeah. And hearing people make judgment and comment on it was hard.
Yeah, it's easy. Thing is, for a lot of people, it's an easy target, isn't it? It's a very, very easy thing to kind of go at someone with, because they can say it. They don't need to have that thought, and it will bother. It will bother you. Of course, it will. But you have that chance to sort of get your side of it out. And I think, banter aside, people always know that. Well, you see it all the time. People think that the betting rules and the way that it's handled are horrific, which is wrong. You know, we've seen it. You mentioned other players. Ivan Toney was the big one, sort of the last couple of years. We had Harry Chapman at Bradford. He got done for gambling while he was at Blackburn, and he was running around at Blackburn with a betting sponsor on the front of the shirt. And it's like that came out years later. Well, it's just like
it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Like I've stopped it. So I do the fan hub thing where you check in at the ground and you do your predictions and everything. And they have something called fives where you predict the scores. And what they've done this season is when you put your fives in, it tells you what your odds are if you want to place it as an ACCA. I am awful at it, so I would never do it. I, would be like Liam, got an addictive personality and would be bankrupt. I spend my money on stickers, but
which is clearly much healthier.
But that's like, it's massively turned me off Fan Hub, and it'd be so easy for me to be like, yeah, just click the button, place the bet. It's endemic into kind of football culture, and it's the same Talk Sport. You listen to that on a Saturday night and you're driving home from a game. And the adverts, the sponsor bits, it's everywhere.
It is everywhere, and it's horrible. But you've come out the other side. You're in this position now where, as a team, once again, you are flying. You're having a really, really strong season. Do you think that last season has helped you guys mentally kind of prepare for being where you're at? Because, like you said, for you it was uncharted territory. You'd never played in the EFL. You'd never properly played. You'd never been to a club. Obviously, since COVID, you were sat top of League Two. You'd not been in that position. Now you have. You know what can happen. Has that last season helped you guys prepare for this season? And what's the goal? I know that's a silly question because it's obvious what the goal is, but is it a goal of by any means necessary, or is it a goal of what we didn't do last season? We're aiming to do this season. I don't know how to word it without sounding like a dick.
I think again, like, it's been a tough start for me personally. But the winning mentality was there from the start, and the thing I found hard this season was for games or some training sessions I wasn't myself. So for a few of the new boys coming into an environment where we were off the back of what happened last year, and I've got my own individual problems going on and stuff like that. I wasn't the most approachable person, maybe, and that's something that I look back. Yeah, I look back on now. Like, even there's been certain training sessions where I may, I've taken it out my frustrations on other people, and that's one thing that I look back on now and think I should have been sort of more, because I didn't know the outcome. So if you don't know the outcome, you've just got to go on like nothing's happened, especially in this profession. It's like you can't sit there and what if I get this, what happens if I get that, until you find out that decision. It's not just you in the game, it's still a team game, so I still have to give everything regardless of what I've got going on. So yeah, again, I think a lot of people would look on the team this year and probably think, wow, they've come off the back of what happened last year. They definitely won't be there again. And that's the beauty of the game, is the new additions and that whole sort of refreshing additions, like new faces. They are just adding to what we've already built in the last couple of seasons under the gaffer now. So yeah, the boys that have come in, they hit the ground running. So that's massive credit to them guys, and the boys that are still here from last year. We've still got that hunger. We've still got that sort of unfinished business mentality.
Yeah,
definitely. I think after everything that we was on the end of, I think all of the social media comments and things like that, there's no better way than to silence people. Is just to do it our way and do it this season and get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in terms of your play style, and then I've got to end is I've got 10 quick fire questions. And
10?
Yeah.
No,
They're all good ones. They are all good ones. I don't really like number 10 because for me the answer's obvious, but we might fall out if you give the wrong answer. Your sort of playing style and your role, do you feel like you've evolved as a player and sort of changed the way that you're doing? At what sort of position do you see yourself as now? Is it more of like an attacking eight? What do you see yourself as if you had to describe yourself as a player to someone?
I think if you looked at my first start, my first game of the season last year, compared to the player that I was at the first game of this season, I definitely think you'd look at a player that's definitely understanding the game more, definitely evolved in my position, know my role. And that's the good thing. We have our foundation and we know what we are good at as a team. And I know what I need to do to give the team the best chance of winning. So the first game of last season, you'd have probably seen me chasing someone in the crowd. That's how much I wanted to run. Yeah. So the ball would go out and I'd chase the ball and probably give it back and throw it to him and to get the game underway. But I'm definitely more understanding positioning wise, but I'd consider myself definitely a box to box 8.
Yeah. Huh. Nice. It's always wondered how asking players to sum themselves up is difficult. It's quite hard to put yourself in that box, isn't it? Because then you might go into training tomorrow and Sadler might say, right, Jamie, I'm moving you out. You're playing in this position now, and it's like, right, I'm now not that player, because you might get asked to do a different role.
No, I'd like to think I'm a player that can play in a few positions. So
yeah, it's always good. It's always good.
Yeah.
Right, are you ready for the 10 quickfire questions?
Yes.
Just say the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. And the reason we do these, by the way, is because it often entices players at your club who you play with, your teammates, to reach out and say, yeah, I don't agree with that, I'm coming on. Such as Harry McCurdy turning up when Jack Payne came on and said McCurdy cried for 8 hours overnight after the playoffs. And McCurdy sent me a message going, actually, I cried for 24 hours. I'm coming on to correct that. So, number 1, who has the worst fashion sense in the Walsall dressing room?
Do you know what? I love him. And do you know what? I'm not saying it's the worst, but it's different. It's different to like your usual when you go on a team night out but he comes in some rascal jeans and boots and stuff like that. So I'll have to go Aaron Presley. It's different. It's different, but he's one of my favourites. I love him to pieces, but his jackets are a bit rogue.
That's what we need. We need to find a picture of them. Out of the current squad, who's the only person you'd trust to help you build a wall on a bricklaying job?
I'll say Brandon Comley, because I know that he's just built a massive extension in his garden for his girlfriend's business. So I know that he's quite good with like the painting and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure he'd help me build a wall.
So you'd be fuming now if you find out he didn't get planning permission and you've just leaked it on here.
So ask me the question again and we'll cut that
out. What's your one song, your one pre-match hype song, if you had to pick one?
I've got a few, but I listen to this one every time because I like the words in it, and it's Fort Minor, Remember the Name. And it talks about all of the percentages and luck and will and power and stuff like that. And it's very sort of upbeat. So I'll listen to that before I go out.
Yeah, it's very building, isn't it? It's like
it
gets you pumped. Yeah, I know exactly.
That's fine. What's your
have, Hannah, I promise you have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your initiation song?
When I first joined, my initiation song was Stay by Rihanna.
What, at Walsall?
Yeah.
That's bold.
Yeah, I've done a few. When I went to Stevenage, mine was End of the Road, Boys to Men.
Wow.
Take it away. Take it away. Don't have to take it away. That's got a long intro, hasn't it?
I know. I was going to say, have we got another few hours, have we?
Yeah, I kept expecting it to kick in. I was like, I've just clicked the instrumental. But, so that's your initiation song. Right, okay. So the next one is, and I don't know if you're going to say yourself here because of what you spoke about like over the summer and things like that. Who's the biggest teacher's pet with the gaffer? Are you the closest? Are you his? Are you his guy?
Teacher's pet. I don't know. I definitely think, because I have got a very good relationship with him because of everything he knew my journey coming into the club.
Mm-hmm.
And the player that I am, I think that he likes the way I give 100% no matter what I'm doing, whether it's pre-season or I'm in the gym or I'm doing whatever. I live my life as dedicated to being the best version of myself. But I definitely think probably me or no, do you know what? I'll stick with me. I don't think I think a lot of people would say myself, maybe Charlie Lakin.
Well, Charlie, the battle lines have been drawn. You can
he might disagree, but
yeah. EAFC. Okay, so obviously it'd be new to you getting into the game this last couple of years. Have they been fair to you, or do you feel like they've mugged you off a bit with your rating?
Do you know what? I looked at it this season and I said I'll take a 63 rated car because I think I was 57 last year, so that's a 6 upgrade.
Yeah.
So
are you a
there's
silver or are you a bronze?
No, just a bronze rare, I think it is.
Bronze rare.
Oh. Bronze rare. Not just an average bronze, but
no, it's a rare bronze, and the
rare
rare
one.
Rare bronzes are the best ones. Did you get a card? Have you got the card?
No, there was only a select few, and I said, to be fair, I said to the media team, I was like, if you can try and get it, I said, I'll sort you out, don't worry. But no, apparently they only give out a select few.
I think I did. I've got a Salford one somewhere. We've got some really rare artifacts from clubs.
Yes,
again, we'll tell you afterwards some weird stuff that we probably shouldn't have.
You know what though, my Charlotte, she's got a fake player card. I reckon can sort you out. Like the media team,
he wants it sent from EA. That's what you want.
I need that.
I spoke to Jamie Walker at Grimsby. He had his, and he paused for the picture with it because he got in the team of the week, and he paused for the picture with it, and then he took it back off him.
I'm running off.
Oh, yeah, I would absolutely. And if they tried to take it, I'd snap it. Like if I can't have it, no one can. Boom.
Child.
I am a child. What's your go-to cheat meal after a win?
I don't really have cheat meals, to be fair. I'm quite dedicated in what I eat. So probably Nando's. Nando's. No, I think that's the most important time is the summer. Yeah, I think the summer is the most important time to prepare yourself for the season. So, but yeah, I'd say I like a Nando's. I definitely think a Nando's is as far as I'd go.
What level do you go on Nando's?
As in what spice? Medium's the max, but I do like a peri tamer.
Yeah, I don't mind the like the lime and thingy one. There's
a new barbecue one that's quite nice.
Yeah, I have seen that. That's more up my street. That.
Yeah.
Love a good barbecue one. Yeah. Who in the Walsall dressing room spends the most time in front of the mirror?
They'd probably say me. I think. I think with my long hair, when I
did see the hair and I saw that question coming, I was like, he's in the mirror a lot.
It's hairspray before I go out.
Do you wear a headband?
No, but Aidan Flint does. And
what a man mountain, by the way.
He's such a good guy. He's probably one of the funniest people I've met on my journey so far. I get on really well with him.
I went to the season opener, the Swindon game, and I was in the Swindon end. And yeah, I just fell in love with him. Just the shit that he was giving to the Swindon fans. Yeah, he's ace.
He gives it to everyone. And I think a lot of people respect him and the banter he gives because he's been through a lot in the game and he's well respected. So
yeah,
I think I tweeted and I found it earlier when he signed for Walsall. I tweeted out, I cannot overstate just how perfect a signing for Walsall is.
Yeah. At Mansfield, he was just one of those players that, if he was out injured, you'd be like,
yeah, he was booked to make sure that he wasn't playing.
Yeah, it's like he's been here for years. He's definitely another leader that we needed this year. So yeah, he's probably the perfect addition.
Good.
If you weren't a footballer and you weren't laying bricks and doing the jobs that you've done, what's your dream job?
Well, it's funny you say that. At the minute, I've just started up my own business.
We know. That's why that question's in there. Take it away.
So yeah, I've just started up my own business. It's called Actiflow. So yeah, me and the co-founder, we had conversations throughout sort of the summer. With everything that sort of went on as well, I wanted something that was gonna take my mind off everything. I think it's what I needed personally, maybe even towards the back end of last year when I was solely focused on football. I needed in my downtime is just to to focus on something else alongside putting in 100% at football. So yeah, we've just started up. Basically, it's a recovery business. So we're doing recovery for athletes. So we've started off with leg sleeves, so compression sleeves for footballers, which obviously supports recovery, speeds up the recovery, blood flow to the area and stuff like that. So yeah, we're hoping to get that underway in the next month or so. We're getting sort of grip socks to get the business up and going as well. A few ice baths that are in and around the training ground at the minute. So yeah, we just want little things to get the business up and going, and then further on down the line we're gonna add the higher tech stuff and look to see where we can go with it. Maybe sort of, I'm doing my nutrition course as well at the minute, so hopefully that I can implement that somewhere along the line and maybe go down the supplement road. So yeah, that's what I'd probably look to go into.
Right, what I think we should do, I've got this thing, I've talked to the kit guy at County about it. Socks with a panel at the back so you don't have to cut the holes in them. So like a proper kind of shit like mesh almost. So you get that flexibility, but they're not single use.
That's definitely, because I know a lot of players now, they cut the holes in the back of the socks to relieve the calf cramps. So that's maybe something I can.
Yeah, that's it.
That's my unique selling point. That's
lower league logo on the back of them. That's it. I'm still trying to get lower league look to name sponsoring of Scunthorpe United, and that's not happening.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. To be fair, I've actually got the leg sleeves on now.
Oh, look at that! Oh, I can't do that.
There we go.
My missus laughs at me because I can't get my leg that high.
But yeah, I received them and I don't think I've taken them off since. So we've got a few of the boys wearing them now. A few boys in the socks. So we're just looking for opportunities and stuff like that. Keep promoting the business and see where we go with it. So
get them all on the socials with
definitely
taking photos and tagging you in and all of that.
I have someone who in mind. We will speak afterwards. Yes, we will. I've got someone immediately in mind because you about the legs.
Recovery.
Yes, recovery and the legs. You know immediately where I'm going with this. Well, the last one, and I think this is a really, really easy one. Messi or Ronaldo?
Personally, I will say Ronaldo.
Right. See you later, guys.
I have no.
In terms of myself, and I think Messi's born with everything that he had.
Yes.
But in terms of myself, my journey, and I know that Ronaldo wasn't born with the talent that he had. It was through pure hard work and determination. So that's why I'll choose him over Messi.
You respect the journey.
I respect the journey.
He's been on. Yeah, that makes sense. It's still wrong, but I respect.
Yeah, but you know what? That one thing about him, he backs himself.
Yeah.
And it's so important.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do think I can see arguments for both sides, but generally people don't have an argument for the Ronaldo side. That's what I always find. Whereas you've got an argument, so I'll let it slide. Well, we've reached the end. Not the end, but for now we've reached where you're at.
At 24.
Yeah, no, I'm at the end.
Nearly 25. Nearly 25.
Oh, yeah. 12th of January.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know.
Or was it? No, was it the 12th or the 11th? No,
it's the
13th.
It's the 13th.
Yeah,
also, I've got your Stats Bomb kind of profile up, and it's on there as well. So, yeah.
She'll tell you that afterwards. Well, thank you very much for doing this.
I'm obsessed with it. I'm just obsessed with it. Not just, oh God.
No, not just your Stats Bomb.
Yeah.
She's not obsessed with your Stats Bomb. She's just obsessed with Stats Bomb. But yeah, thank you for doing this. It's been really, really good. It's been good for us because we've not done. We went on this big thing where we steamrolled and we did loads and loads and loads, and then we kind of slowed down a little bit. And then we did Jake Tabor in the summer, didn't we? And that was the last kind of one that we did. We kind of waited off a little bit.
Which is why I was at Swindon and Walsall.
She went to see Jake Tabor. And we were waiting for me to move, which was supposed to happen in the summer, and it's only happened today. So, which is why it's worked out really, really well. But honestly, thank you. Hope you've enjoyed it. We've kept you so long, but it's been really enjoyable.
No, it's been a pleasure, guys. I appreciate you getting me on and letting me sort of tell my story. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
And we'll have you back at the end of the season, hopefully with a little medal around that neck.
That's the aim.
Yeah, and then
We'll come down.
Oh,
definitely.
Yeah, but until Walsall get promoted, and then next season it'll be back to being like
Hannah, I'm not going to be looking from the Championship and worrying about you guys. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Follow us on all socials. We've got some more stuff lined up. We'll see you all very, very soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
The lower league, look, the place it's all at.